All right, we're going to get started. So welcome everyone to Optimizing Your Processes and Workflows with Upchain, connecting data, people, and processes. If you have any questions throughout this webinar, please type them into the Questions tab on the control panel, and we will address those at the very end of the webinar. Before we get started, we'll go through a little introduction to ourselves. So M2 Technologies is a consulting firm focused on productivity, improving manufacturing process efficiency, and reducing manufacturing costs. Using generative design and best-in-class manufacturing and asset management processes, our team of industry experts can help you become more sustainable, more profitable, and more prepared to meet the demands of urbanization in a rapidly changing world. We are committed to helping clients realize the business benefits of BIM and asset management quickly and economically by facilitating the use of innovative processes and technologies. Whether it's streamlining your product design, maximizing asset longevity, or optimizing your processes, our team is one of the most experienced groups of manufacturing technology consulting professionals. We partner with world leaders such as Autodesk, Panzura, EaglePoint, and Bluebeam to utilize innovative technologies and methodologies to empower sustainable manufacturing and overcome local challenges. To support the industry, we offer a wide range of services, including CAD management, data management, CIO advisory services, and training. My name is Tristan Gunderson. I'm an applications engineer here at M2 Technologies. I work with our clients to help them optimize their workflows, get the most out of their software, and utilize cutting-edge technology. So for today, we're going to be covering some of the more advanced workflows and customizable features within Upchain. This includes organizing users for quicker project deployment, collaborating with suppliers, creating and managing custom workflows, and creating custom attributes and numbering systems. So a quick overview on Upchain. Upchain is a cloud-based product data management and product lifecycle management software all in one. Configurable out-of-the-box workflows control your processes to keep projects moving, while integrations keep teams working in the CAD and business tools they already know. What this means is you have your access to your data and the ability to collaborate on your engineering data and documentation from anywhere. It's a product-centric management and workflows. So the bill of materials and that CAD data is at the center of everything, with all supporting documentation and workflows all linked back to that one source. You can also use the built-in or customized workflows to manage your business processes and vendor communications. Lastly, it's compatible with key engineering and documentation tools. This includes plugins for Autodesk Inventor, AutoCAD, SolidWorks, CATIA, and PTC Creo, as well as productivity plugins for Microsoft Office and Outlook. So Upchain can serve a company across many different departments, but of course the key focus is in management and engineering, while giving other users outside of those departments visibility into the engineering, the CAD data, and the documentation, as well as lines of communication and workflows to help communicate necessary design changes or other information back to influence those designs. So today we're going to be looking largely at some of the tools available for the admin portal. The admin portal is going to be the user interface for the admin users to set up and control the settings, workflows, and users within your Upchain portal. So admin portal, it gives administration access to edit, configure Upchain client and users. You have the ability to configure the tenant properties, so you have set options to customize the overall experience within Upchain. You can also customize the item and document numbering systems and attributes. You can modify workflows and attributes of business processes. You can change or edit the vault storage location, uh, which by default is a cloud storage. You can manage users and assign licenses and roles. You can manage your customers, suppliers, and manufacturers and set level of access. You can create and manage user teams. And lastly, but not finally, you can manage user federations to create single sign-on uh, logins. So for the user management, in the admin portal, you'll be able to add users to the Upchain, assign their licenses, and assign their roles. So within Upchain, all tasks, decisions, and projects can be assigned to users individually, or it can be assigned to them by their role or the teams they're included on. So the user role defines the general position that a user fills within teams or projects. You can see a few examples of these on the side, including project manager, quality manager, lead mechanical designer, and so on. If you're looking for a little bit more customization or grouping users into multiple different departments, the teams really comes in handy because the teams allows you to create these custom groups of users to define those different departments, divisions, or work groups within your company. When you are creating a workflow or assigning a task, you're able to select who it is assigned to. You can again assign by their roles, by the individual users, or by a user team. You can assign as many different users as you would like, and you can even have assignments of different user types all done at once. And you can see here we have one role as the project manager, one individual user, and one team all assigned to this item. Next, we have our supplier management. So our supplier management allows us to input supplier information for individual parts. We can upload, information for either materials that are being supplied to make components, or if they are off-the-shelf components from the supplier, we can add all of that information manually, or even use a process to have them add it themselves. To create a new supplier, all we do is we place the name of the supplier in our system, and we have the option to add a contact email. The key with the contact email is this will determine what the workflow is for adding supplier information to the individual parts. So when we go into a part, we can select to add a new supplier. We have here our M2 Technologies and our Microdesk suppliers. With M2 Technologies, there was not a contact email inserted. So this means that the process for inputting all of the details for that supplier associated with this part is a manual process. So we're able to do it all in-house. We can pull from a quote that we've received or from their website and input that information here. Otherwise, if we do add a contact email, we can use the RFQ process, so the request for quote process, and have them input it manually, because we ourselves will not have access to input that information. We'll need to grab it directly from the supplier. So just to kind of outline that process, so when I do have a supplier with that contact email. Instead, what I can do is I can send a request for quote. So with the request for quote, I create this business process. I'll add which supplier I'm looking for. I will select the workflow I'm using, and then add a description. This description is really important, as this is the main form of communication going to that supplier for what I am for what information I'm looking to receive from them. You could send a follow-up email separately, but this will be the only information directly tagged within this request for quote. Additionally, we will add the items associated with it, and we can even add additional supporting documents if we need them to fill out any paperwork, and so on. Once this has been sent, the supplier will receive this email at that associated email, giving them the option, showing them a little basic information and giving them the option to open this RFQ. When they do so, it will open up the 3D viewer, much the same as we would have access within our Upchain portal. However, it will just give them limited access to the items that were shared with them. From here, they're able to go in and edit their supplier details on their own, as well as access those documents we attached, or even upload documents of their own. So they can change those details and add a document. So they can attach a quote or fill out an NDA, whatever is needed from them as part of this process. When they're done, if we give them the permissions in our tenant properties, we are able to have them then complete this business process. And for this one, we'll just have them hit quote complete, and it will finish that process, letting us know that they have uploaded all of their information. Next, we have our workflows. So our workflows are what control a number of different things, namely our business processes, but we also can create custom workflows for tasks or for our document approvals. So when we're creating these workflows, it's built out by linking together a series of what's called primitives. We have user primitives and system primitives. User primitives will mark a point where it will be assigned to a user or a group of users, and someone will need to manually progress the workflow by stating that a task has been completed or by making a decision. The system primitives, however, those are going to be automated options run by the computer in the background that range from notifications to updates to full system decisions. Here we can see a example of one of these workflows going from start to end with everything linked in series. This, of course, is built out by those primitives as we talked about. First of all, we have our start and our stop. These are included in every workflow as our creation point and our termination point of the workflow. We then have the notifications. These allow us to send custom email notifications to different users at different points within the workflows. We have the update. This is largely used to update the status of the workflow, so we can change the percent completed or its final status. However, in certain workflows, such as the investigation requests, this can also be used to change the lifecycle state of objects, as we'll look at in a moment. Next, we have the system. These are going to change from workflow to workflow, but they're essentially system operations that can be run as part of the workflow. Next, we have the system decisions and object decisions. This allows us to set criteria to make automated decisions without requiring user input. So they work largely as a no-go based on filter criteria, but allows us to create a branching path or return to a previous stage, depending on whether our current status matches what we're looking for. We then have print and report, so some quick tools to generate printed documentation or reports from our items. And then lastly, we have those user primitives. So we have the task, which can have as many branches leading into it. However, there's only one branch leading away. We can give users the option to terminate the entire workflow at this point, but otherwise their only option is going to be mark the task as complete once they have finished. And then lastly, we have the decision. So unlike the task, the decision actually has two different options to select from. We can see here as the green leader leaving the decision and the red leader leaving the decision. And so we're able to create those branching workflows or have the workflow return to a previous step if we need further revision or other operations. When we select one of these primitives, we're able to change its details, including change the name labeled for it for better organization, and change the settings of it. For example, with this update, we're able to change the type, so we can have it be a status update for the workflow, or if we go to our item status update, we're actually able to change that lifecycle state of our associated items as part of this workflow. So you can see here we can change that to a release state or any of the other associated lifecycle states. And then if we look at the system, we have a varying different choices for system operations depending on what workflow we're using. Lastly, we have the attributes. So attributes are something special to the quality assurance and requirements workflows. These allow us to create these custom fields that appear at the very beginning as we're setting up our workflow. So this allows us to add information and have other users edit this information as they progress through the workflow in order to collect that data or keep a record of what is being done. This includes the ability to create these attributes, which can be dates, text, numbers, pick lists, and so these create these quick fillable fields to quickly gather information on what the workflow is looking to achieve or the final data from that workflow. We also have the ability to add documents to this. When we add a document, it'll show up as a template. So it'll create a new version of that document that can then be filled out and is saved as part of this workflow. So for any kind of standardized documentation that needs to be done, that can be attached directly into the workflow. Here we can see our form as we're first creating this requirement. So you can see we have our standard components that are the type, workflow, name, assignees, and description. But we also have those additional attributes that we created, including the complete by date, the checked by text field, and this pick list for what drawings are needed. And so we're able to do that. And then lastly, we have our item numbering settings. So within Upchain, by default, it is going to have all items as they are brought in assigned a standardized number. These will run in order sequentially, and the basic will have standardized digit count and prefixes, but we're able to go back into our settings and change these prefixes and sequences in order to customize that numbering system to our use. So we have a few different ways we can do this. Firstly, you'll see, we're able to add sequential attributes for that rule, including a fixed text delimiter to separate text and numbers or other text. We have a free text, which allows us to set a character maximum and what that default value of that text is, but it allows the users to fill that in themselves as they create it. And then lastly, we have our sequences, which gives us a set digit count and will start the count from 1. And as we input each new item, we'll continue that series for numbering. And so when we set the digit count, it'll of course start with for our 5 digits, it'll start with 4 zeros and a 1, and it will continue to grow. We can also set the extend length after limit setting, which means that if we start with just 2 digits, when we hit our 100th item, it will extend that to 3 digits instead and continue from 100 and then 101 and so on. Within our item numbering settings, we also have the ability to change our revision number settings. So these have a few different options, including 1 or 2 characters or 1 or 2 numbers, as well as the option to exclude characters. So any characters that might get confused for others can easily be excluded. We again have the ability to extend the length of this after we reach the limit. And we have the ability to set a major and minor revisions separately. When we release items multiple times, it will ask us whether we're making a major or minor revision, and it will set that revision number appropriately. And so with that, it's going to wrap up some of our key items here for looking at some of the more advanced features for controlling and customizing Upchain. But I do want to just summarize on some of the key takeaways from Upchain in general. And so that is connecting data, connecting processes, and connecting people. Within Upchain, you have access to engineering data, documents, processes, and the ability to collaborate from anywhere. You can customize the workflows, the business processes, and data fields to allow for design and management processes that match your needs. And lastly, you're able to collaborate in real time, share data, and track project progress with schedules, lifecycle states, and the business processes, all from one handy tool. And with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions that you might have. Again, if you have a question, you can go ahead and type it in to the questions tab on the control panel. And I will give a couple minutes here for anyone to type in those questions, and we can answer them right now. All right, it doesn't look like we have any questions at the moment. However, if you do think of questions down the road, you want to talk more about Upchain, any of the other products that we provide or services, you can always go to our website at m2t.com, contact us through our phone number at salessupport@m2t.com, or by contacting any of our account executives. Thank you for attending, and have a nice day, everyone.